Hi everyone, Katarina here. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Just a couple of days ago I created this gorgeous wedding card which has this box sitting on the front which I've cut my aperture into. And I made this on a wedding card, but I don't need another wedding card. Today we are going to make a birthday card instead. Instead of the hard aperture that I cut in there, we're going to cut a square one, something that is more available to you all because not everyone would have dies like this, I get that. But there's so many other things that you can replace these with. Like I did have this lacy heart die from Chloe's Creative Cards, but you can easily create anything like this using just some lovely nesting dies. My inspiration today came from a card fold that Elaine created, who is Crafty Mommy on Craft World website. And she posted her card in there, which she called the Aperture Box Front Card. And she cut her oval window inside that box on the front. I thought it was very clever. So I asked her if she minded if I created my take or takes on this card. And she very kindly gave me the go-ahead. So here's a big shout out to Ella, and it's such a clever fold. So for mine today, I'm using a 12 by 8 inch card base, which I scored down halfway on the longer side at 6 inches, and this is going to be a top folding card base. For the front of my card, which will be essentially the box, I'm using a piece of cardstock, and I'm just using plain white today, which measures 8 by 6 inches. And on the 8-inch side, I'm going to score down at 1/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch on both sides. Now the 1/4 of an inch will be the little tab that attaches my card front to the card base. The 1/2 an inch will be the depth of the card. If you prefer a larger tab instead of the 1/4 inch, you can do that. It depends on how big your window that you're cutting into your card base is going to be. Mine is quite large and I didn't want my tab to hang into the window, so that's why I used the smaller one. So this is the lacy hard die set that I used for my first card, the wedding card that I shared at the start of this video. For the card we are making today, I'm going to use the floral lace background, which is a square shaped background die. And you don't need to have anything lacy detailed dies like this. I just like using this because I have them in my stash and I don't use them as often as I should really. So I'm just going to use this today, but you can easily create looks like this just using nesting dies or nesting scallop dies or any decorative edge dies that you may have in your stash. So this die set has that lovely decorative frame, floral frame die, has 2 square frames, a smaller one and a larger one, and then the lacy square. To cut out my window from this front of the card, which we've scored down already, I'm going to use the larger one of the 2 square frames, and I'm going to center this up as much as I can between the 2 score lines, and then I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Before gluing my aperture window box front on front of my card base, I want to add some color behind this window. So using the blooming border die set and the largest one from those, I have cut out some pink mirror cardstock, but this is too big. This is 8 by 8 inches, so I want to cut this down to 6 inches in width. So essentially I'm going to lose the detail on the top and on the bottom of the card. I only want to have that detail on the 2 sides for this card. So I will just glue this flat onto my card front and my window box frame will sit on top of that. And a little bit about the color inspiration for today. I get inspiration from all different places. Today I shared this card and do you see all the little pearls sitting on it all over that window frame? I took them out of this little bag which has a mix of pinks, purples and white pearls in it, which I got a long time ago from eBay, been just sitting in my drawer for a while. So I looked at the pinks and purples and they look nice together. So this is where my color inspiration for my card today came from. And it will come together so beautifully, you see. So I'm just using my color glue in here to add this mirror card that I'm using. The pink one is not very heavyweight, so this color glue will definitely strengthen it up so much. It will be nice and sturdy at the end once it dries. So the next thing I'm doing is just applying some double-sided red liner tape just to that 1/4 inch of a tab on either side of this box frame. Now, as I said, a 1/4 inch might or might not be enough for you. It depends on what you prefer, and very much will depend on what size your window is. If I had left, because originally I cut mine to 1/2 inch of a tab, but it came into my frame just way too much, and I did not like that look. So I just decided to cut them down to 1/4 inch, and these are the measurements that I gave you at the start. But by any means, you can leave them bigger if you wish. To decorate around my window, I cut out this lovely floral border using the same dies I used to cut out the window, and then the decorative floral border frame die. I've cut this out of a deep plum mirror cardstock, which is a different shade from that pink that I added on the background, and I will show you them together in a little second and you'll see. And I will also bring in later a color, not mirror cardstock, but a color into this card, which is a much deeper purple. And these three is something that I never thought would work together, and they do. So in here you can see the deep plum and the pink. They are two different shades of pink, but the deep plum goes into purple a little bit. And it's just funny how you can get inspiration from different places, and that little bag of pearls gave me an idea for something I don't think I would have ever tried otherwise. So on to our next step. I've cut out that lovely floral lacy detail using the smaller square die out of the two and the lacy detail die. And using that same smaller square die cut out of plain white cardstock, which already has some double-sided sticky sheet on it, which I added. And now I'm going to very carefully peel back that backing and add that floral lacy detail. It's white on white, very hard to see, but between the fine lines of the floral detail there, it's all sticky, exposed sticky now. So I'm going to cover that with glitter, and I'm using Crystallina today, which is a lovely fine translucent glitter. Has no color to it, but lovely sparkle, which my camera didn't pick up in here, but if you stay tuned to the end of this video, I will show you some lovely close-ups of all that gorgeous sparkle in there. When I've cut out my frame for around the window, I was left with this square of plum cardstock, which I'm going to add behind my floral lace detail. And this will sit behind my window in a little while. But first I'm going to cover both of these pieces in double-sided foam pads. You can use foam tape if it's easier. I just had a lot of foam pads that I wanted to use some of up. So this is why I went with this. I'm removing the backing in here and I'm adding it on top of my plum mirror cardstock in there. Sorry, my head's in the way. I'm just trying to line this up so have a nice even border. Now I'm removing the backing of all of these as well. But when I went to adhere this on top of my card base, I really did not like that. I felt it was missing something. So I decided to cut a white piece of cardstock just slightly bigger than that plum cardstock. It's like 1/8 of an inch bigger, and I adhere this on top of that. I decided to just use double-sided tape. I didn't want to add any extra more dimension. There's already 2 layers of foam pads sitting on top of this. For the sides of my window frame, I've cut 2 pieces of that same plum cardstock, 6 inches by 3/8 of an inch. It will just leave a teeny tiny border on 2 sides, but will go from the whole length from the top to the bottom. And this will strengthen up the sides of that box a little bit as well. So to have everything nicely squared and centered, it's a bit of a logistics operation going on in here. So I decided to remove the backing tape of just one side of that window frame first. And in here I've cut a lot of this footage out, but I was playing about a lot, trying to make sure that it is going to be nicely, properly centered. I'm applying a little bit of a pressure in there, and now I'm going to drop the center piece into that window reverse. We'll see in a wee second. So I'm opening up that little which is a door now. I'm dropping it in there, and I just from there, when it's all nice and squared, I just drop it down on top of my mirror cardstock in there, and I'm just applying a bit of pressure again to make sure that it sticks nice and well and looks good. So now I can remove the other side, the backing of the red liner tape on the other side of the window frame. And now I'm making sure again that it's nice and squared. And I'm gonna come in with my bone folder and just applying pressure on both of those 1/4 inch of tabs to make sure it sticks very, very well. So now to decorate it with some flowers, I'm going to use these gorgeous ones, which is the newest flowers from Chloe's Flower Power collection. And what I love about this stamp and die set that it has 2 different stamps to match the same die, which gives you so much room to create all different flowers using the same set. And today I used one of the stamps, but in a previous video I already used the other one, so go and check that out. I'm telling you, they are both beautiful. So I stamped them on vellum and heat embossed them using a sparkling snow embossing powder by Wow, which is a lovely white but sparkly glittery embossing powder. And the 3 colors that I used to color them from underneath the vellum are picked raspberry, villainous potion, and seedless preserves. And that villainous potion is the deeper purple that I brought in color-wise. For my flowers on the wedding card, I didn't use distress oxidings. I used alcohol marker, and it was the Coral Tree Blend by Spectrum Noir, which I used to color in those flowers to give them that lovely subtle color. And it was jade green, I think, on the little bouquet leaves. So for here today, the swirly foliage from the Flower Power collection again is what I used with some green cardstock from the Pastel Sorbet paper pad. My go-to method to attach flowers to my card bases is hot glue gun, and that's what I'm going to use today. However, normally I would just add a bit of a glue dot on the middle of the back of my flower. I can't do that today because then I wouldn't attach it to the frame, but it would fall onto the middle of it, into that glittery bit of my cardstock, which I don't want. So instead I'm just adding bits of glue onto the frame, and I'm attaching everything else onto that. Now, you can see how the dark purple kind of funnily brings everything together in here. So the plum and the pink mirror cardstock, which I never thought would work together on one card, is brought together into a real nice harmony, I think, with all the different shades of pinks and purples. So the darker one is the villainous potion, and then the large flower in between them is the seedless preserves, which is kind of a bridge between the purple and the pink on this card. And then the picked raspberries, the 2 small ones on the bottom corner in there. I think it brought everything together so nicely, and the white just sets them off. I think it's a beautiful contrast for these flowers. I will definitely revisit this color combination again in future because I love how it turned out. But now I just remembered that I did use this plum mirror cardstock before, and it may have been actually the same frame though I said that I used it with. But instead of pinks and purples, I matched it with blue back then, and I thought it was a really beautiful card. I will link to it in the description box below if you would like to check that card out. You can go ahead and have a look at that video as well. So in here now I have to add the sentiment to this card, and this is going to be a birthday card, and I am using a couple of different things to create my sentiment. So the happy part of the happy birthday will be from that stamp set, which you can see on the right hand side there, which is one of the box kits. I think it was the Daisy one. And I just stamped it with that little cube you could see earlier on, and it is Versifying, the purple one. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I'll find it and I'll leave it in the description box below. And it is a lovely deep purple. And the birthday I cut out of my birthday sentiment builder stamp and die set. Of that same plum mirror cardstock. Now the stamp and die set did actually have a happy stamp, but I've lost it. I've lost it a long time ago. Lost my happy. So that's why I went with this other one, but I was quite happy to swap it out for this lovely scripty front anyway. So I've cut that one down to size, and I'm going to adhere it on top of that, again, plum mirror cardstock, and I'm just going to cut a really thin border around it. By the way, I think I just forgot to mention it in there, but I did heat emboss this little sentiment as well, just using clear gloss, just to have everything nice and matchy and glossy. So I'm adding a bit of a glue behind the birthday, and I'm going to adhere it on top of vellum. So I used the shadow die that came in the set, and I cut it out of vellum. I think it just sets it away from the background a bit, while it's still just white on white in the background in there, but there's a lot of little details, a lot of fine lines and glitter going on. I really thought it needed this vellum just to separate it from the background a little bit, and this works perfectly for me. So I'm just going to add it somewhere towards the bottom a bit, not quite in the middle, because I want to have enough room for the happy to go in there as well. And the happy, I did pop it up on a little bit of a foam pad. Now I'm bringing back these lovely pearls in here. Of course I needed to add some pearls. Now I did play about a lot. I wanted to add loads of pearls like I did on the wedding card, but it was just too much. It was chaotic. So in the end I decided to go with 3 pearls on the top right corner and 3 pearls at the bottom left. The bottom left are pinks, the top left are purples, and I also added some large ones in the middle of each flower as well. Now the only things that left to do you see how it bows in? I think it needs reinforcing. So I took 2 pieces of cardstock, which are 1/2 an inch wide, or just under 1/2 an inch, and I glued them together with color glue. And I'm going to add them behind the frames on the top and the bottom of the frame, just to reinforce them a bit, and this will make a whole lot of a difference once it dries. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the wedding card as well. It gives it lovely strength. So it's just 2 pieces of cardstock glued together and reinforcing the frame. So that was done quite a while ago. There was a few days passed between me making this card and actually editing it down. So I know that it made a lot of difference. Once the color glue dries, the frame sits so nice and strong and straight in there. So this is my card ready, and this was my first take on the Aperture Box Front card that Ellen created. And you can see how I quite well changed the design. So I put the box to the middle of the card instead of the side of the card. But I do have a different version coming up very soon, which is very different from this one, but still a take on Ellen's card. I really hope I'll see you back for that one too. So here are some close-ups from the 2 cards that I showed you today, the wedding card and the birthday card. They are both super sparkly, super gorgeous, and I really am happy with how these both turned out. I really hope you liked today's tutorial, and if you did, please do not forget to give me the thumbs up and leave me a comment. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that and hit the notification bell to make sure you get notified anytime I upload some new lovely tutorials. I really hope to see you back soon. Until then, bye!